Good morning, Boone County and beyond. It is Saturday, April 4th. I'm your host, Bud Wiry, and you are in the shop. So, guys, I want to welcome you back. We've had a pretty big week this last week uh, in regards to all this water stuff that we've been talking about. And we've went over all the different stuff and how poorly waste treatment plants do it, getting some of these emerging chemicals out and this different stuff. Well, just this week, the EPA has come out and added microplastics and pharmaceuticals to their list of priority contaminants. These are chemicals that everybody's identified of having health, that can cause health effects and that are real problems to people. So it's been identified, and this puts it into the process for now creating the regulations, the standards for it. So, you can have so much of it. They set these, limits to sort, which generally the government's limits are still far beyond what best science says should be the limit. But nonetheless, anyway, this is saying that these contaminants are a real problem. They've been now organized and added to the priority contaminants list. So to me, I was thinking to myself, we were talking about, and I've sent these emails to the Lebanon City Council before and to the utilities, and they were unable to tell me how they plan to, get out chemicals, all this stuff that we're talking about when they didn't even test for it. And they couldn't answer my questions. They tried to push me off to citizens who then just tried to dump it, and they didn't actually respond to the emails at all. So, but this is the whole problem right here, guys. All these chemicals were going to come in, but now, okay, so we have the EPA sitting there saying, okay, we recognize that we need to get this ball rolling. And they put out the whole memorandum thing. And I thought that, so I notified the city council. I sent out another email to every member of the city council and the utilities that, this has now been designated as priority contaminants. And, are they still going to continue voting to bring this water into the community, knowing that it has priority contaminants in it and that these issues have not been addressed? And their answer was that 100% they were still full steam ahead at bringing this stuff into the community and into the families of Lebanon and their children's faucet, so for all them to consume, and knowing that this stuff's in there and knowing that they're not doing anything about it. And guys, to some extent, I'm floored a little bit, even though I've disagreed with these people on a lot of things. And I've sent them this information before, and I'm like, hey, how are we going to be bringing these chemicals in? We can't be doing this. Just as a basic human decency level, you don't take clean water away from a group of people and then bring them in crappy water. I mean, it's a really bad plan. And this surface water has these microplastics. It has these pharmaceutical chemicals, industrial waste stuff, and, ag runoff and other stuff in it. And the waste treatment plants, they only can get out so much of it because they never really were designed for a lot of these newer synthetic chemicals. So anyway, but so I reached out, I sent an email, and I posted it up there on the shop page. You guys should go check it out. That way you can kind of follow along with the whole conversation. But, I had asked them, like, are you guys still going to do it? And they pretty much said, yes, we're still going to do it. And then they said that maybe, once it got regulated and they had a testing level, then they would start testing for it. And then here's another jaw dropper. And I ought to bring this up. I mean, I probably shouldn't just ad lib this one in here. Let's do this one verbatim because it's beyond stunning is what it is. So here's Lebanon City Councilman Dick Robertson, and here's him, and I quote: "Keep in mind that more testing may mean more cost to treat the wastewater, which may turn around and be more cost to the consumer later on." End quote. So he's literally saying that if you test for more chemicals and stuff in this water, then it will cost more to get these contaminants out of the water, and then the people would actually have to pay for that. So if you take this all the way back to how it's working right now, so right now where we're sitting, Lebanon residents have clean drinking water without these chemicals concerns. And now we have a Lebanon city councilman telling people that, if you want these extra chemicals, tested for and possibly removed now that we switched your water, that's going to cost you guys some more money. And I'm going to tell you guys, see, even reading this level of nonsense is almost, it's jaw dropping to me, guys. I do industrial maintenance for a living. That's where I've made most of my living. I really specialize in like a predictive maintenance, solving the problem before it happens. And to watch these people knowingly walk themselves into problem and knowingly walk these contaminants into a community when they know these problems haven't been addressed. These are people that are creating problems, and I said it in that thing. Let my notice to everybody and to all you listeners out there and everybody in Lebanon, save yourself a copy of that, because why I added that is that you can literally say right now that the Lebanon City Council has been presented with evidence and that they fully, knowingly acknowledge that these contaminants are in the water, that they're not testing for them, that it's a problem, and that they are going to send it to Lebanon families. So later on down the road, if people start to experience different health problems related to having some of these untested, unregulated contaminants in their water, or having, right now this stuff's already a problem. They're talking about the average adult has 7 grams of microplastics build up in their brain because it builds up, and there's different parts of the body that tend to absorb these microplastics. And we're talking 7 grams. You got a spoon's worth of microplastics in your brain already. And they're like, yep, put it in the pipe, send it to the kids. No, we cannot be the people that sit there and knowingly, intentionally make these sort of decisions. But since we have people that are currently in the hands of power here that are those people, you guys need to be keeping notes. Because, like I said, for legal reasons, down the road, if these things happen, these people might find themselves personally liable. Because so the way the law works on a lot of things, they go about intent. So these people know that this is a problem. They have been provided the information, and then they are choosing to still not address these concerns. And they are choosing to send these contaminants into people's homes where they currently don't have them. And if there has ever been a recipe for a lawsuit, hard pressed to find a better one. You got different people that might experience this later on, and, Meta and Eli Lilly, they might have a lot more to worry about as these things become a bigger problem and more of this testing starts to happen to it. Because, if this stuff going into the Eagle Creek, you're talking about the water supply of all these people. And now once it's going to become proven that these people have contributed to it. And I say this stuff about it right now. Eagle Creek, that water there it's got trouble now. It's got a little bit of stuff running into it. It needs help. It needs people to work on fixing the problems we have now. And we don't need people like Lebanon, who's currently getting bashed in the media all across this whole state. I have never seen the like. Nobody ever talked about Lebanon, and now you're seeing the projects that they're doing, the farm ground that they're scraping. You're seeing it on news, wall-to-wall coverage across our state and to all kinds of different groups. And you're seeing the news actually picking up on all these things and this dumping of water into Eagle Creek and this whole entire mess. And we literally have the biggest bottom feeders of politicians in the whole state right now. And that's what we got. And what do we have? When you send them the information saying, hey guys, these have just been, regulated priority contaminants, maybe, can we not do this? Can we prevent this from being a problem in the community? And their little answer is just no. And do we need to send helmets and tricycles up there? I don't know if these people ought to be behind the wheels of cars. And that's just me, guys. I've worked in big, giant industrial settings with all kinds of stuff. And to watch people, it was my job to stop these things from happening. But to watch people walk themselves into a crisis, and especially when it's a crisis that can affect the health of not only, these are Lebanon's my hometown. I went to school there. These are my friends, family. This is my community. This is the older lady who's checked me out at the grocery store now, living her last retirement days. These are all these different people, and they're having all this harm done to them by all this different way, and you just can't stop them. I mean, Lebanon is committed to the toilet to tap, circular system with the Eagle Creek Reservoir so that they can feed these giant companies. They've made promises, they've made deals. And I asked them in the email I sent them, I said, if it's money, it might cost you some money to stop some of this stuff and to get out now. But I mean, what's the health of the whole community? We've already talked about how the 65 natural gas generators are declared a mass pollutant, and the wind blows towards Lebanon. I mean, we've already talked about how these things are going to be affecting this community, and how can you take a community that just sitting there minding its own business, and how can these people just all of a sudden decide that we're going to bring them in air pollution, light pollution, tainted water, all this, and they're doing it intentionally, and that's why I say everybody needs to keep records of this stuff, because it is not that they are just doing it not knowing. They are doing it while they are being informed of the harm they are causing. So that I've never seen a more negligent local government in my life. I really haven't. But anyway, so I want to move on from there. We got a couple other things on the board I want to get across. So Whitestown just announced that they just approved their sale of their water infrastructures to Citizens Water. So now Citizens owns all of Whitestown's infrastructures, and I believe the water rights and the whole kit and caboodle. And so I'm gonna, applaud Cheryl Hancock over there in Whitestown because she posted about this. Now it's pretty much unpopular by most of the people online, by what I've seen, for the same reasons I don't like it. Is selling out your utilities to another company just isn't a good strategy. Having localized control over your life-giving resources is some pretty baseline common sense to me and to a lot of other people. And if you look at what's happening to them people in Indianapolis right now, where all of a sudden they sold it initially, now it's changed hands once, and now BlackRock owns their electricity. So you look at how these things happen. But I do applaud Cheryl Hancock for putting it out there. But I think, just as a side effect, because this got talked about, it almost made it look like it had her full support. And while Miss Hancock did tentatively support this deal, she was actually the only no vote on the thing, because she couldn't get enough protections in from the people on, like, the groundwater rights, pretty much. So I think there was some concern that the people on wells could eventually be negatively affected. So she actually was. So I did make a post about that because I just wanted to clear it up, because that's the hazard of it, being one of the politicians, and you got all this stuff going on in your community, and if you post it without kind of adding all your insight to the post and the details to it, then people can form these false assumptions, and I didn't want that to stand. She was actually one on the council that decided to vote no because the people weren't getting enough protection, and that person doesn't deserve to kind of get that kind of appearance, so to speak. So we cleared that up. But so now does this open up Citizen to some other options? Might they be able to get water to the Leap District by tapping into one of Whitestown's towers? Because if you look at where the pipe is right now, they're coming across by the little Lebanon Boone Airport right there, and it's not that far down to the first Whitestown water tower over there by the Tractor Supply. So would they be looking to maybe do a little interim to get the water to it so that they can meet that need? If I was people around there, I'd be looking for something like that to happen. Now, and something else I've seen is, I have heard that right now, and you can see that it's been stopped, the pipe work on 200 East, which is the Her Elevator Road right there, that stuff is stopped. And I believe that there's some amount of a homeowner challenging the pipe going through their property. And I believe that the judge, I think Citizens, by what I was hearing, Citizens was, or, they were wanting to keep the work going and keep laying the pipe while this got litigated, and that was stopped. So this is going to actually have to get settled before the pipe work can resume. I mean, who knows? There's so much money and so many big lawyers and this and that and the other. We'll see where this shakes out and how strong everybody is on their positioning. But I am noticing that's going on. And I mean, guys, the buildup against this is growing exponentially. And this is something that really needs to be talked about. You're actually getting bigger name politicians. We have Mike Delph, who's running for the Senate District 29 in Indiana. And he has posted about the Eagle Creek several times and about how this needs to be stopped. And, you know, we're having different people start to come out and I was, God, I'll tell you, I was beyond happy to see a Republican coming out, you know, a bigger name Republican coming out and actually saying that he was against this stuff because right now Republicans in the state of Indiana are looking like absolutes. And I hate that. I'm a 25-year plus lifetime member. I've donated my time, I've been to events, I've went all this stuff over the years, and to see what they're doing right now and to know that it's my party heading it. I mean, that's a tough pill to swallow. So to actually see some, because right now, if you are a Republican in the state of Indiana and you want to win an election, now I'm going to say this really slowly. If you are a Republican in the state of Indiana and you want to win an election, you have to be against all of the stuff that they're doing. Because right now, coming from somebody who's in tune with all of these different groups, I talk to these different people. I mean, these are a lot of conservatives within these groups that are fighting these projects in every community. Get on Facebook and just search how many groups they are and how many people are involved. Every community. We have I mean, we feel it here locally, and you see it. But then when you turn on the news, I mean, Brightwood, you know, we got Protect Pike, you got all these. Everybody else, you know, up there in Clinton County's got a group. Everybody has a group. So right now, this stuff is so unpopular. And what are you guys seeing? You guys are seeing meeting rooms after meeting rooms packed full of people that don't want this stuff coming to their community, and people that don't want these projects and everything else. And as they keep hammering them through on everybody, you are disenfranchising, you know, the base Republican voter. I mean, guys, we have been, for as long as I can remember, small limited government. Growth comes from the private sector. You know, all of these different things that really, you know, were party mantras. And now that, you know, they're sitting there holding on to government controlled developments and they're trying to use big government to mow over everybody. And it's going to be the classic Republicans, the classic conservatives that like Mike Delph, who people will still actually get out there and vote for. Because I'll tell you, nobody's voting for this stuff that we got now. Like, you know, the last Braun poll I seen, he was at 20% or whatever. I guarantee if there was any legitimate poll on Matt Gentry or any of these people around here, they would freaking be plummeting in the numbers. Now, the only thing they got going for them is they've disenfranchised all the voters to the point that people don't show up. They don't show up and, you know, cast their ballot. They've been beat on so much. And I have people reach out all the time. They're like, why is more Lebanon people not getting out there? Why are more Lebanon people not getting it? Guys, I'll tell you what, and it's hard for me to hear too, but being somebody who hears from a lot of these people, the number one thing you hear from Lebanon residents is what's it matter? They're going to do what they want anyway. And when you have corrupt politicians that have been doing what they want anyway for long enough, that's what ends up happening. People are like, why am I going to get out there, waste my time, go and talk to these? And that's like me. I mean, I keep going and doing battle with them just because it's the right thing to do. And I see this stuff. I mean, I don't live in Lebanon. I'm not going to drink that water, but it's still, I mean, I got people there. This is my community. And I look at all of Boone County as my home. I grew up running around all over here. These are my people. And I just don't like this. I mean, it's hard for me to know this stuff because I pay attention and then just let it happen. But so when you have communities that are feeling that level of disenfranchisement, and you have a whole group of people that, you know, are really fractured because their party are the ones that they're actually fighting. And I can tell you from somebody who's doing it, I don't like it. So if I was to put any advice out to any candidate running as a Republican through this cycle in Indiana, it is going to be declaring yourself on these issues that are going to set you out and set you apart. And I have put out that advice a couple times now. I did see that one of the candidates, I think it was Current over there in Zionsville, I think they put out you know, kind of a side by side between Mr. Tim Byer, who's the current president of the Boone County Commissioners, and Mr. Jason Plunkett, who is currently the president of the Zionsville Town Council, who is running for the same commissioner spot. So they did a side by side comparison of them. And I seen within that, I'm going to, a couple quick takes out of it. I mean, out of Byers, I did see that he included a data center ban for the county because right now you got much of our county still unincorporated outside of the city limits of Whitestown and Lebanon and all this different stuff. So there was actually a part in there of his platform to be trying to push for and advocate for a data center ban for the county. And then we also had in there where he wanted to try to work on a system to where people got a chance to vote for some of these controversial topics. And I think both of those are appealing to that same thing that I'm just talking about right there. And I think that's good on Tim. I think that's good business right there. And I'd do the same thing because I also think that everybody ought to get a chance to be able to vote on these controversial topics. We're going to have to get away. And we've been seeing it all over our state to where, these small groups of people, they're getting elected and they're not looking at, they're getting elected to serve the people. They look like they got elected and that was a prize that now allows them to enrich themselves and just decimate and sell everybody else out. So from the political standpoint, guys, I mean, I said that if you're a Republican, you need to be getting behind these people. You need to be declaring yourself. You need to be talking about these issues and you need to be getting out because you are going to be facing energy once it comes into the general. And right now, that's how elections are won, or by energy. So right now, you're going to have this energy that's against these developments. That is a potential pool of voters. But you have, once it comes into thing, we have the strongest Democrat Party locally I've ever seen before in my life. All these people coming in here and damaging this community and pushing all this stuff on top of everybody, disenfranchising voters, has given Democrats an edge in Boone County that they've never had. And they are fielding candidates in all of these positions. So when it comes time for the general election, you guys, a Republican better be tapping into this energy so that he gets people off the couch to come and vote. Otherwise, we're going to have Democrats that are winning in spots that we would have never thought of. And that's the honest truth. And it's not because Democrats are any better on this. I posted about this last week. Democrats are just as bad on this data center and development stuff and plowing you over for profit as Republicans are. It's the truth. You look over there at Illinois right now, they have over 200 plus data centers. Over there in Virginia, they have like 540. California, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I mean, it's the same thing no matter who's running it. But the optics are right now it's Republicans doing it. It's Republicans trying to put wastewater in Eagle Creek. It's Republicans trying to do all this. And you know what? As a Republican, the party's looking pretty crappy right now. So when you see a real Republican step up and start talking about these things that people are actually caring about, that the energy is, that the stuff that fills the room, people do start to coalesce around them. And if you're a Republican in the state of Indiana and you want to win, that's how you're going to do it. And now into the final segment. I always try to leave on a high note, something a little funny, something a little, to bring you off into your Saturday. And, guys, I hope everybody has a great weekend. This Easter Sunday, I hate to be out here having to talk about all this political stuff that we got going on when there would love to have better things to talk about. But, as always, I do at least try to leave it on a lighter note. And the IEDC, who is fully in bed with the Lebanon politicians and this community, and Lebanon has long had the motto, Lebanon, the friendly city. Well, the IEDC yesterday posted a list from the, what was it, the Next Door or whatever, and it was the top 20 friendliest cities in Indiana. And the IEDC's BFF, Lebanon, didn't even hit the top 20. Even though that's their namesake. So evidently mowing people over, peeing in the pool, and trying to make everybody drink it is not the most popular. It does definitely don't put you in the friend category. That's for sure. So anyway, you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Have a great Easter. I hope all the family stuff is as good as you could ever hope for. I'll see you next week.